Hello, YouTube. So here's what's going on in America. I live in Texas. I'm a volunteer first responder with the Community Emergency Response Team and have been since 2009. Certification with classes at the Fire Academy here in the city of San Antonio, Texas. I've been on numerous fires, major fires, automobile accidents, providing services in support of first responders in my community. Uh, Medical services to people injured, uh, rehab services to active firefighters in major fire scenes. I've been arrested, and I've got charges pending against me. Actually, not filed, but placed against me, looking for an indictment for impersonation of a public servant. I created the Community Emergency Response Team in Comal County to support my local community in case of a natural disaster by providing an emergency response. Because in major disasters, there's never enough first responders around to help your neighbor, your next door neighbor, people down the street, people across the block. So FEMA created federally the emergency response team that was originally started in Los Angeles in response to the major earthquakes. I was in the 1989 Loma Prieta in Northern California, up in Santa Clara County, and I can attest to the fact that when a major disaster happens, there's not enough help to go around. So if people are injured, there's fires, um, all kinds of things. FEMA decided to implement nationally the CERT, Community Emergency Response Team, so that there would be a response available to the citizenry, which is listed as help until help arrives. Basically, this is your first responder until the paid first responders, who usually work for the city, county, federal government, are able to respond.
I don't need you. They're going to let me do it without you, okay?
Cool.
Okay.
So, I did what I was supposed to do. I got the authority of the local sheriff to give me authorization to start the nonprofit unincorporated association under his authority. And I created the team. And that was June 1st of 2017. Because it's a nonprofit association, no operating funds whatsoever. My only alternative was to register with the Texas Secretary of State to be able to solicit for funds for donations for operations to help fund the nonprofit association and to provide for medical equipment, supplies, support that would be available should a major disaster happen and we were required to provide services to the community. So I did the legal filings. I got a certification from the Secretary of State authorizing me to solicit for donations. After that time, I was cited, arrested in different cities for soliciting with no permit, even though I had the state permit, which specifically stated that having this permit makes me not under the jurisdiction of any of those cities or municipalities or anywhere when it came to solicitation of funds for donations for operations of the association. Yet, I was arrested, I was cited multiple times, and that was the beginning. The legal system of our country, the police officers are the ones that give testimony to the courts, and based on their testimony as to how the courts react to whether the crime was uh, uh, not a crime, whether it was a crime, what kind of crime. When you have an officer that goes before the court and provides false testimony in the furtherance of the state's position in hopes of getting a conviction or a plea bargain of some sort so that they can make their money, because that's what this is all about, is the money that's required to be made by the municipalities, the cities, the counties, because they don't get any money given to them. They don't earn any money. The only way they can get money is to take money. They have to take it from the citizenry, and they take it by taxes, they take it by fines, they take it by fees, they take it by any means that they can, so that they have their money to operate. So, why does any of this matter? Because you see, they're not they're not only taking it from you and me, they're taking it from our federal treasury accounts, the ones that were created at our births using our birth certificates as the basis to create a corporate construct, which is a fictitious entity on all capital letters, your name, my name, everybody's name, which is a non-entity, fictitious, made-up thing that acts in commerce under the Department of Treasury in what they call fractional banking, fraction banking, meaning there's an account that has your social security number on it, and not just one bank, multiple banks, and multiple accounts. Each of those accounts are all linked together under your CUSIP, which is your social security number. CUSIP is a banking term meaning the bank account number of the account holder, or the funds, or whatever, the trust, the corporate entity, whatever. That's where the money is in the CUSIP, C-U-S-I-P. That CUSIP is 9 digits long. What are the odds that a 9-digit long bank number is the same as your 9-digit social security number? Now there's 999,999,999 different combinations of 9 digits that are available in a 9-digit combination. There's only 300 million Americans. That leaves 2/3 available as CUSIPs. Now, CUSIPs are granted by the Federal Reserve, and you can create a new CUSIP. CUSIPs are linked. CUSIPs can be superior or inferior. What they're calling major banks or the lower banks. Same thing. Because the bank has the same thing, it's a routing number. It's just different. It gives the location of where the CUSIPs are. Is the bank's routing number. But it identifies the bank. Now, for the Federal Reserve to tell everybody that there's no accounts at the Federal Reserve, all they are is a clearinghouse for processing payments between accounts, that's a false, fictitious, just like your corporate construct statement by the Federal Reserve. Because there's no money kept in banks. The only money that's kept in a bank is the 20% mandatory coverage of the deposits, which they're required to keep. So if somebody comes in and wants to do a withdrawal, they have the funds available to give the people their money on their deposits. Okay? It's called their reserve. So your money is not kept in the bank. Your money is kept in the Federal Reserve, because every day the bank does a transfer of payments to the Federal Reserve. At the end of the day, they send their tape, and that tape says what their deposits are and what accounts it was deposited to. Meaning, it went to an account at the Federal Reserve. So there is accounts at the Federal Reserve. There are always going to be accounts at the Federal Reserve. There's many accounts at the Federal Reserve. Okay? Because each Federal Reserve, for its jurisdictional location, handles millions of different CUSIPs. Understand that. Millions. So when I did my charge off of my credit cards and they were paid, and Discover tells me my $6,000 balance is zero, 21 days later, not 5 days, not 12 days, 21 days later, after they zeroed my account out, lowered my credit availability from $6,000 to $500 because I hadn't made a payment in many months, because I was in financial hardship. Tell me they're issuing me a new credit card, and then it's on its way, but then turn around and tell me, oh no, it was reversed, and the money was sent back to the Federal Reserve.